Hello everybody, my name is Delene Sheesby and I welcome you to the first in a series of short videos in which I would like to outline the contents of some of the Occupational Health and Safety Act's training legislative requirements. But first, just a bit of clarity. You will probably already know that the current SETA landscape is undergoing some phasing out processes. The QCTO will eventually hold similar occupational qualifications and/or occupational skills programs. And the legacy qualifications end registration date has been set for the 30th of June 2023, already gone, hey? You may enroll learners on Legacy up to the end of June 2024. In other words, no learners will be able to enroll on Legacy qualifications or unit standards as from the 1st of July 2024. However, if you have got registered SETA qualifications, please check with your SETA because some of them have different rules. However, it is very important to note that the courses I'm going to outline the contents of in this video do not require QCTO or SETA accreditation. Qualifications, on the other hand, do, however, require accreditation. Nevertheless, the Occupational Health and Safety Act in section 17.7 makes mention of the fact that a health and safety rep must perform their functions and training during their ordinary working hours. The Act does not say or state that the training must be accredited. So if it is not in the Act, let's not make it up. If it doesn't exist in the Act, then it does not exist at this moment in time. So if this legislation requires that we train the occupational health and safety representatives, then let's do so. And let us understand what the content should be of these courses which we need to provide for the health and safety representatives. So what are the objectives of the Occupational Health and Safety Act? Well, first of all, we will see it's to provide for the health and safety of persons at work. Then to provide for health and safety of those very same persons working with plant and machinery. And then the protection of public against health and safety. Those are the top 3 items that we discuss and look at in the occupational health and safety representative training. There are others, but we focus on those because those are the things that they need to know now. So up to now, we have been using SOCWA Unit Standard 25962, which is described as the functions of the workplace health and safety representative. And in fact, just something very interesting, by the way, the Act refers to health and safety representatives. And in fact, nowhere does the Act mention SHE reps, safety, health and environmental reps. I think we've all at some time called them SHE reps, and it's still very commonly used. But as I say, the Act does not actually refer to them as SHE reps. They are called health and safety representatives. So now, ideally, when you are planning to train up your health and safety reps, they should still cover the basics as required or as intended in the Occupational Health and Safety Act. Just because the unit standard may fall away does not mean to say that the content has disappeared. It may be that references to SOCWA or unit standard number so and so and the specific outcome number and so may be omitted in the course material, but really the content is still relevant. We like to introduce the learners to the structure and get them to identify who's who in their structure. Although this course focuses on teaching health and safety reps, many companies put a full class of learners on the course from management through to the general employees in the workplace. The benefits are many. Often proposed health and safety reps leave for greener pastures shortly after their training, and by having extras, the employer has replacements. In addition, it's extremely beneficial for as many employees as practicable to have health and safety knowledge. For management attending this course, they too will know what is expected from their health and safety reps. With learners from the same workplace, one can also focus the training on a risk-based approach. Risk-based approach is critical because we're speaking about the risks in that specific workplace. We spent a bit of time introducing the learners to this concept of vicarious liability, and we use a scenario to demonstrate the meaning of sections 37.1 and 37.2. This is often followed by interesting class discussions on letters of good standing and IODs. A quick overview then of the structure, starting from the 16.1 all the way down to that section 14, employees. This is from where the health and safety reps are nominated, using that ratio of 1 in 50 or 1 in 100. What is health and safety without talking about hazards and risks? Learners spend time identifying hazards and risks in their workplace using tools detailing categories of hazards, and quickly they realize that hazards are not just tripping and falling or overloaded plugs. They also realize that hazards which may develop into unsafe acts or unsafe conditions, if not mitigated, are highly likely to develop into a risk. The learners learn that the CEO is responsible for the overall management and control of an enterprise in the private sector or department in the public sector. As soon as the 16.1 takes on that role, he or she becomes responsible for compliance with all aspects of occupational health and safety legislation. In fact, the size of the company is not the determining factor. The CEO is the person who could be prosecuted when things go wrong and could be prosecuted in their personal capacity. Section 8, Duties of the Employer, a very important section which is introduced to the learners with discussions on the need for risk assessments and the need for mitigating risks in the workplace. The learners realize that there are tasks in their workplace which require training and supervision. They also realize that the requirements of Section 8 are not to be taken lightly. They identify with a Section 8.2i as being some of their supervisors or HODs or even line managers. And if there are any senior staff in the class, they realize that to ensure safety, they have to enforce compliance at all times. Often, we have a Section 8.2i supervisor who are trained to understand the hazards in specific workplaces and are appointed, legally appointed as such. Although the Act does not require a written Section 8.2i appointment, it often makes sense to have such an appointment. The 8.2i's must still comply with that appointment because it is being supported by Section 14c, which is a requirement for all employers to comply, even A2I appointees, to comply and to carry out lawful orders given to him or her by their employer. Thus, in effect, makes the Section A2I appointment a requirement in the eyes of the company's policies and procedures. Discussing the duties of employees in Section 14 makes a huge impression on all learners, particularly management if they are in the class. Why? Because actually everyone falls under Section 14, even the 16.1, and therefore the content of this section is a legal requirement for all. In other words, we are all responsible for our own safety and others, and that we must all carry out lawful orders. Section 14 duties are discussed fully with examples in the class. And by the way, the contents of Section 14 is also great information to include in your induction training. For example, if unsafe acts or unsafe conditions are brought to the attention of anyone, not just a health and safety rep, it must be dealt with immediately. This includes the reporting of incidences as soon as possible. The content of the health and safety rep course really has something for everyone in the workplace. Other sections of the Occupational Health and Safety Act are discussed in detail in this course. For example, the right to appeal, other rights, the health and safety policy, duty to inform, duty not to interfere with, damage, or misuse things, with workplace-specific examples and many more. What is safety? This is unpacked in detail. Occupational health issues are also discussed with examples of each applicable in their workplace. The health and safety rep is taught that their functions must include both, and even, where relevant, environmental issues. The learners are made aware of how health and safety compliance can impact on the production, and how unnecessary losses and or sicknesses or absences can negatively affect a company. We introduce criminal and civil liability. The learners must realize that the Act is the law, with definite possibilities of both civil and criminal liability, each of which are discussed with examples. I call this section the how much, and although the current legislation still discusses offences and penalties which to some may seem very low, I like to tell my class that the Act is up for amendment, and according to our Chief Inspector, Millie Rater, it could even be towards the end of this year. Offences and penalties will be huge, even 5 million rand fine and up to 5 years imprisonment. The course content goes on to include the need for the organization to appoint reps, the nomination process, their functions, the functions of the health and safety rep, and their rights and the activities which the health and safety reps were going to perform, and the role of a health and safety rep in terms of agreements. I take the learners, and hopefully some of the more senior attendees, to the General Administration Regulation, where presently it states that the employer shall negotiate and consult before health and safety reps are designated, and if applicable meet with registered trade unions of that workplace to conclude and agree on a collective agreement. When you start reading this section for yourself, you will realize that this is a very important document to implement in your workplace. The agreement must have specific content which can be discussed in the class. The finer details are discussed of when health and safety reps are designated, when they should perform their health and safety rep duties, why they, as health and safety reps, are important to the workplace, how long the legal appointment will last, who can be a health and safety rep. The learners are given the opportunity to form a mock health and safety committee and discuss topics from their own workplace which should be discussed in the committee meeting. The learners are also required to perform an inspection using a checklist. Ideally, this will take place in their own department or own workplace. Then a discussion takes place thereafter to discuss their findings. There's also an assessment to test the learners' understanding of the course content and to ensure that they have met the outcomes. This is Delene Sheesby. Thank you very much for spending a bit of time with me while I covered the content of the Health and Safety Representative course. I also hope that this short video has given you insight into what this course can offer you and your health and safety reps. If you wish to arrange health and safety rep training for your group, please do not hesitate in contacting me. Details on this slide. Pricing is simple and affordable, based on a daily rate, not a per person rate, which means you can take advantage of having a large group trained up. Well, looking forward to seeing you soon. Bye for now and stay safe.